What's up guys, and welcome back to, another video. It's been a while, but we won't talk too much about it. I hope you're all enjoying playing Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, despite some of the different decisions and controversies surrounding the games. I've had a fair amount of fun playing them myself, despite their flaws. And now we're sort of into the part, apart from those of you who just got the games for Christmas, where you're into the post-game and there's two options, which are competitive and shiny hunting. And I guess I've been focusing on one more than the other, and that is of course shiny hunting, especially with the addition of raids and the ability to share raids and run raids as many times as you want via an exploit and so on and so forth. Shiny raiding and shiny raids in general are a big, part of the game now, especially if you are a part of the shiny community, although some people will still prefer to stick to hunting solo, I suppose. Regardless of your method for hunting though, of course you're going to have some favourites and some less favourite shiny Pokemon, so I figured it'd be nice to see the top 10 shiny Pokemon that have been introduced in Generation 8. These are the new Pokemon, obviously in the Galar region, as well as the new Galarian forms. I'm not including the G-Maxes here because I feel like they're sort of the same Pokemon anyway, if that makes any sense. So we're just looking at standard Pokemon here. Now, as you may know if you've watched any of my top 10s or any video in the past, I don't really have opinions. So to help me out with this one, I figured I'd, crowdsource the information a little bit, and I put a poll out and asked people to vote on their top 10s, and I've gathered all the data here, and we're going to see what people think as an average, what the top 10 shiny Pokemon from Generation 8 are. Now, I'm also going to do a top 10 worst shiny Pokemon from Generation 8, so you'll find a poll for that in the description below. So if you fancy helping me out there, leaving your thoughts and feelings necessarily, then of course feel free to click on that poll there and just fill out, select 10 that you think are fairly bad. It doesn't have to be 10 of course, it could be less than 10, and we'll see what you guys come up with. Anyway, moving on and starting this top 10 list. Starting at number 10, we have Alolan Creamy. Now, this is our fun new food-based Pokemon based on a cake, a meringue, something like that, cream in general. And of course, you can see the shiny form itself turns into this sort of black-white swirl of a mess here. Now, of course, if you've played the games, you might know that Alolan Creamy has many different colourings and also toppings. You can have strawberry, hearts, berries, there's loads of different things there, as well as also having different colourings depending on how you evolve it during time of day, whether it's the night, whether you spin anti-clockwise or clockwise. It's a bit crazy, but there's quite a few forms of it. But for a shiny Alolan Creamy, it sticks to just being black. Of course, you can have your different toppings there, which is pretty cool. And of course, it's worth mentioning the Gigantamax form for Alolan Creamy. When we get into the shiny version, you can see there's a few subtle changes, nothing huge. Mainly, the cake turns grey and black a little bit, and then of course you could say it's burnt cake, mouldy cake, something like that. But in terms of the form itself, the shiny does look different enough from normal to be effective, but not crazy that you wouldn't want to use it, I suppose. Moving on to number 9, we have Orbital, another Pokemon that has a Gigantamax form. Orbital shiny is particularly nice on the eyes. It goes from being obviously red with purple spots to sort of like a pale blue purpley with purple spots again, but it just gives a different style basically to the Pokemon itself. And again, mentioning the Gigantamax form, Gmax Orbital is a big purple UFO, which again is a nice change, I suppose. The worst shinies are the ones that basically don't change at all, or change too much, not too displeasing on the eyes to actually be usable. But Orbital itself looks like a cool variant of the normal version. Then at number 8 we have Iskewon, our new Mimikyu-like Pokemon with its huge ice block. Gets a pinky purpley tinge, I suppose, maybe sort of like magenta, but auburn, something like that when it turns into a shiny form. So it's nice red tinted ice, which is pleasing on the eyes to say the least. Then moving to number 7, we have our first of the fossil Pokemon we've mentioned or looked at all, and this is Dragovich, one of the abominations. A dragon's tail with a fish's head for the body. Who knows how this happened, but you can see in the shiny form it loses sort of like all colouring and becomes like a grayscale version almost, where we have black, grey, light grey, and then some white and also some purpley pinkish colour. which is a nice mixture, I think, you know, sort of like a nice blend between the purple and then the darker greys and so on. So although the Pokemon is a pretty big abomination, although it's very good at the competitive, it does definitely have a nice shiny form that is nice on the eyes. Then coming up at number 6 we have our new bird Pokemon, Corviknight. It goes from this, you know, sort of like dark blue navy-ish colour to a pure steel silver colour for it's a steel flying type, it's a metal bird, so it was a very fitting shiny in terms of that. And also I like the fact that its beard turns into like a dark grey as opposed to its standard form. The beard is basically exactly the same colour as normal and there's no difference at all there. Again, it's also worth to give a shout out to Corviknight's Gigantamax form, which is even better actually. It keeps this nice steel colouring, but also the previous red sort of glow under its rings changes to a nice golden one. So you get a nice golden bird, gold steel colouring, which just looks pretty cool. There's a Gigantamax form there. Moving up to number 5, we have a very small Pokemon on the list, and that Pokemon is Aplin. Yes, it's one of the new dragon types. It's an apple, it's basically all it is. Its eyes are on the sprouts, the leaves, I don't know what you call them, and it's got a tiny little tail behind it, but as you can see, in its shiny form it turns into a green apple rather than a red apple, which of course is very topical, lifelike, etc. You know, I feel like sometimes it's very interesting, as well as being pleasing on the eye, it is good to have shiny forms that are actually referencing in some way, if that makes any sense. Another big shout out I'll give here is to Mr. Rhyme, who is based on a comedian and so on, who in his shiny form turns into a grayscale version, harkening back to the early 1900s where we had comedy films which were in black and white and featured, you know, slapstick artists there. But yeah, we see here Aplin turns into a green apple, which makes a lot of sense. You know, it's the same with its evolved forms as well, they also turn green. Moving to number 4, at number 4 we have everyone's favourite new sheep, Lulu. Everyone, or not everyone, but plenty of people spent a few hours on Route 1 before they even started their playthrough looking for this black sheep. Many were disappointed, many were not, and obviously many have gone on to hatch a Wooloo since beating the game. But again, this is a shiny that has a very good harkening back, because of course this is a good reference to the old nursery rhyme of bar black sheep, have you any wool? And you can see, I mean, apart from that, it basically just inverts the colours. Its wool becomes black and its face and its legs become white. So similar thing there. Carries on to double its evolution where the black and the white just switch over. So it's a very nice shiny and it's very different from the original, which is always a plus. At number 3 we have one of the more wacky shinies, whereas we had something more subtle, more blending. Obviously Goon here goes for the complete opposite, turns from, you know, black, white and grey to red, white and cyan. Like, how do the colours even work together? I don't know, but it looks cool and it's a very out there shiny. So while it can be nice to have a shiny that's very muted and blends together well, it's also very nice to have a shiny that just goes completely out of left field and changes the whole system and looks just completely crazy. Then at number 2 we have Grimsnarl. Yes, one of the new Goblin Pokemon, I guess they're based on. Obviously in its normal form it's like a dark grey blacky colour with green, and it changes and flips over entirely and becomes pure white and pink purple as well in its shiny form. Again, nice shout out to the Gigantamax form, which is similarly coloured, but it does look pretty cool in terms of, you know, the whole in its normal form the blue and the black and the green do blend together well again there, whereas in the shiny form the white and the pink also blend together quite well there, and it's just a very, you know, very eye-catching shiny, I suppose, and it does fit well with Premier Balls, so that would be my my tip if you want to do some nice ball coordination. Before we get to number 1, a few honourable mentions that were close to getting into the top 10 but didn't quite get there. We have, first up, Appleton. I've already mentioned it earlier how Aplin turns from red to green and then its evolutions do the same. Appleton also was a very widely favoured one as well for a similar reason, just, you know, turns into a green apple pie, so it's fairly standard, but it's there. We then also have Cramorant, which is one of our new bird Pokemon. It's obviously got the special thing about how it picks up fish and Pikachu in its mouth and so on and spits them out, and it turns into this golden, you know, sunburnt orange when it comes to its shiny form. The only downside to this is the Pokemon it picks up are not also shiny, which would be a nice touch as well. Then moving on, we have Runerigus, one of our new Galarian evolutions, along with Obstagoon. Its shiny does look very standoutish. It's got like, the sort of the pinky, purpley tones that are now spread across its body. It makes it look very different from its normal form, and it's just a generally cool Pokemon in general. Then we also have Phalanx, who turns from his standard colouring to a nice mixture of brown and yellow. Now, normally brown would be a totally bland colour, and it's something you would look at and say, oh, it's not really working for me. But I think the yellow mixture of it as well gives it a nice bright standout, and it works together quite well. And then finally we have one of our other fossil Pokemons, which basically Pokemon, let's get the plurals right, which is Dracozolt. Now of course this keeps the colouring as the standard fossils because they are the same Pokemon, they're just spliced together in different ways. But Dracozolt itself, similarly to Dragovich, has the nice blending of the black and the grey and the white and the pink. However, it also has here the nice spiral stomach, I don't know, which gives it a nice extra sort of like a special sort of sparkle to it, I suppose. Those are the honourable mentions though. So the number one voted shiny for Generation 8 was Dragapult, which is actually a bit surprising to me. Obviously, if you look at the two here, not too much changes for Dragapult when it turns into a shiny form. It goes from having the red colouring on its head to a golden one, so maybe this is why it's favoured. It's a nice bright gold, as you'd expect from a shiny. You kind of want shinies to be standoutish and nice and bright and colouring and look valuable and so on. However, sometimes it doesn't work, but in this case it does work quite well for Dragapult here. It also loses the cream colouring on its neck area and turns that into pure white, but the rest of its body stays basically the same. So that was the most voted one apparently. So I mean, do you guys agree? Let me know down below in the comment section if you have a different favourite shiny from Generation 8, or whether you think this is a perfect list, it's absolutely ideal. Let me know down below in the comment section your thoughts and feelings, and as I mentioned earlier, click on the poll in the description to go and vote for your top 10 worst shinies from Generation 8. So whether you've got anything that just looks terrible to you, let me know, or has no change at all and you think should be redone, let me know, and we'll see what you guys come up with for the next video. But for now, that's going to be it for me for today. So I guess maybe I'll see you next time. I've promised you a second video, so I guess that's going to be coming at some point. We shall see, but I hope you have a good day, a good week, and a good Christmas and happy holidays and so on. But that's going to be it for me for today, guys. So yeah, I'll be seeing you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.